Hi, everybody. Hope everyone's well. Today, we're very lucky to have John Paul with us. Hi, John. How are you?
Hello, Paul. How are you doing, mate?
Yeah, good, thanks. And I don't think we need to describe or explain who you are, but for everyone who's watching, John Paul's obviously CEO of the Castle Dean Group, mentor, business coach, speaker, Arla Property Board Mark member. I've got a long list of everything you're doing at the moment. And I think one of the questions that I wanted to ask is how on earth do you fit it all in?
Wow. Well, I've got 28 hours in the day, unlike everybody else, and I work 9 days a week. It's like a Monty Python's Four Yorkshiremen sketch, that, isn't it? I mean, great question to kick off. I mean, very structured. You know, my diary is very, very structured. I know we spoke about this before.
Yeah.
So from a coaching perspective, people book in. So if anybody wants to speak to me, they've got the link so they can get half an hour or an hour, but I try and push everyone towards half an hour because something called Parkinson's law, whether you give them half an hour, they'll take up that exact amount of time to talk about what they wanted to talk about. So if you focus people in on, look, we've got half an hour, let's be quick, sharp, straight to the point. So that's a good tip. I do my coaching on 2 days a week, so Tuesday, Thursday, so it's broken up quite nicely so people don't have to wait. But equally, if I want to do something on a Friday, which tends to be my fine and country day because we're just setting that up now and we're just getting people, we're just growing that. So that's my fine and country day. A couple of months down the line, once that's running without any of my involvement, I'll have another day freed up. I'm building some software at the minute, so that's 1 day a week. And then I've obviously got the Castle Dean and, you know, all the property market stuff, which is another day a week. So I try and fit them in silos. It doesn't always happen like that because, for instance, next week I'm down doing some interviewing for Property Mark, and that's Tuesday afternoon, and I don't come back to Wednesday. So I've moved some of my coaching to Monday afternoon and Tuesday morning before I leave, and a bit on Thursday. So it's all about like planning the week out and then planning the month out. If anything comes in, just having the ability to say, no, that doesn't fit my diary.
Yeah.
I think everybody tries to fit too many things in.
Yeah. Do you think, I suppose, I have a couple of questions. Do you think estate agents are probably quite poor at time management?
Oh, yeah.
And where do you think your time management came from? You know, obviously you're very good at it, and I know you're very good at it because obviously when we speak, you know, you've got your day structured and everything. But did you think agents struggle with time management?
Yeah, massively. And I think the main thing is the majority of agents I speak to are on the tools, so to speak, so they do valuations.
Yeah.
And a lot of estate agents are, oh, I can't turn down this valuation. I can't delegate to anybody else. I need to do it myself. And it's almost the tail is wagging the dog because if somebody phones up, it's not like, well, I've got 9 o'clock on Monday and 3 o'clock on Tuesday. It's a case of, right, well, when would you like me to come out? And again, I'm not criticizing people who run the business like that, but because of that, they can't be structured with the time. So for instance, if somebody wants to speak to me, I'm very open and honest, and I'll say, you know, what's it about? Because and I'll literally say this: I might not be interested, or I might not be the best person to speak to. And if they say, oh yeah, it's about this prop tech, I went, yeah, I've heard of you. I'm not interested. Really sorry, but best of luck.
Yeah.
And just being very, very polite, but being very forthright and blunt with it. There's a really good phrase: no agenda, no attender. So if people are asking me for a meeting, excuse me, and I don't know what it's about and I haven't got the agenda, I just won't go. Because you've got to be obsessed about your time. It's the one thing. You can make more money, you can make more friends, you can get married again, you can have more kids, you can everything. You can't get any more time.
Yeah.
So it's the one thing you should value incredibly high and be really, really strict about.
Yeah, and it's definitely something I've noticed that you do, and definitely taught me a lot as well. And you're quite an early riser as well. I think you're sort of an early one to start, aren't you, as well?
Yeah. So you know, I'm up at 5, 4:45, just naturally wake up. You know, take the dog for a walk. I've only just started getting into this routine where a couple of days a week I'll just do 20 minutes cardio or stretching in my garage. I've read I know one of the questions you want to ask me about is books that I read, and there's one book I've just read and it's been unbelievable, and it's talking about, you know, common sense things like keep yourself hydrated but eating certain foods that are good for your brain and brain function. I've only been doing it a fortnight and I've already seen quite a big difference, so I'm encapsulating that into my morning routine. But I'm very big about routines, and I think if you can find a routine that works for you, then it just allows you to get you know, I know it's a corny phrase about attacking the day and it's very American and all that, but it's true though. You need to get up and really be focused about what you're going to achieve and structure in it, and realize that things are going to come from left field. But if you've allowed enough gaps in your diary to be able to attack those things, it shouldn't knock you off your stride. So for instance, I used to have back to back. I mean, me and Paul catch up quite often, and you'd had a busy couple of weeks and I'd had a crazy day where I think I'd done 12 back-to-back appointments. I don't do that now. I have lots of gaps in. So if you've got back-to-backs and something goes wrong on your very first appointment, your whole day's gone to pot. You need to sort of be sensible, and I never fill up the gaps. Even if someone's saying, I'd like to speak to you, and I've got 3 or 4 gaps in that day, I'll put them into the next day or the day after that.
Yeah, I totally agree. That's something which I did as well, just putting those gaps in there, non-negotiable in the diary, and it makes it more efficient. You can get done what you're planning to get done. I think the other thing I heard the other day, which I thought was interesting, is that having that routine allows you, in that routine, to have something which allows you to relax and obviously take stress out of the day. And a lot of the time we don't realize with routine we might have that in there. And if you're doing that on a regular basis, it's helping take out the stressful parts of the day as well. So how did you get into estate agency? Because obviously there's a big involvement there. How did that happen?
So I think people know, we lost my dad through cancer, and we lost the business, and I went to work for a foundry as a health and safety and quality manager. Didn't particularly like it. I knew I wanted to do something. I wanted to be entrepreneurial like my dad and my granddad. My granddad started a bus service, like he started like TMS, trimmed and motor services, back in the 30s and 40s, and or his dad did, my great granddad. So I come from a reasonably entrepreneurial family. Anyway, I lost my dad, lost the business, working for somebody else, and I came across like it was a 2-page business plan that me and my dad had done 3 or 4 years before he died, and it was terrible. It was like sell business, buy houses, effectively. And he was semi-retired anyway, although he still made all the decisions. And the idea was he was going to sell the business, set me and my brother up in whatever we wanted to do, and him and my mum buy houses, and we were going to manage them. So I came across that and I revisited it, and this was like 2004-5. So I started buying loads of houses. I was still doing my martial arts at the time, so I was competing and training over in America and stuff. And I went to employ somebody to manage my houses, so the income, I could do a lot more of my training. But with that person managing my houses, would reduce my income. So I was going to get more, say 20, 30 more properties that would pay for the employee's wage, and therefore my income from my houses, although it was managed by an employee, would be purely mine, which would allow me to do traveling. But this was in 2008. And the whole world fell off a cliff, but also housing benefit changed as well in April the 1st, although it wasn't a April Fool's joke, where the tenant would get paid direct and you had to go chase the tenant for the money. Well, because I knew the legislation and the law, I was telling the council, no, you can't do that because of this reason or that reason. You've got to pay me within 14 days, otherwise I can charge compensation and blah, blah, blah. And then the council was saying, how did you find out? And I was saying, oh, well, this circular that I got from the DWP and blah, blah. Before you knew it, I was talking to the head of housing benefit for our local council, became quite good mates. And he was starting to push landlords my way. He says, oh, you need to speak to John Paul, blah, blah. He's pretty good. Didn't have a business set up or anything. So quickly set up a business, learned how not to do it very fast, how not to manage staff, how to recruit. I mean, my recruitment policy was, do you like property? Yeah. Do you want a job? Yeah. Do you start on Monday? It was hilarious. Then we grew the business. I acquired one within the first 3 years. And then the rest is just, probably you've seen it on the various groups that we started a couple, and then we've just gone on this acquisition trail over the last like 5-6 years, until we've got 12 branches, a couple of thousand houses. I mean, I think we sold 100 houses last month. So it's it's going all right at the minute. Yeah. And we've got a financial director, a commercial director. My MD runs it for me, so I don't have to. So she's head of operations. She does all the operational stuff. I come in with a strategy, like look at income streams and stuff like that. But it's a pretty slick, well-run business, if I'm honest.
Yeah, no, it definitely is. And what I like about it as well is that you've taken all that experience, obviously everything you've learned, and now you're teaching agents as well, aren't you, about what you've, the pain points you've gone through and what you've learned as well with your business coaching. How's that going?
It's going really well, actually, really well. We've never had as many clients. It's it's going well. Obviously, I've got a Facebook group, and we're quite active on the various social media. And I think why people see I'm quite authentic. I'm very authentic. Like, so I maybe a bit too much. I wear my heart on my sleeve. I say it how it is. There's no airs and graces. But people can also see, because of that, exactly what we've achieved. And the advantage, to be blunt, what I've got over other coaches is I've actually been there and done it. I've never worked for a corporate. I don't have 1 or 2 branches. We've got a dozen. I teach people how to get out of the business because I'm doing it. I teach people how to make money because we're doing it. So I think people relate to that. I totally get and understand I'm not everybody's cup of tea, because I'm a big hairy northerner, and I know not many people like that. But that's the way it goes. But it's really enjoyable. That's what I get the kick out of.
Yeah.
Buying businesses and growing business, I get it. I love it. But I love going in and seeing businesses and saying, right, well, I can really turn your business, or you'll turn your business around with just a few tweaks. Have you tried this? Have you thought of that? Why are you doing that? And just challenging them and pushing back a little bit.
Yeah, and a couple of things there which I think is important is that, first of all, there's not many people out there who can help agents, and it can be a very lonely place as well for agency owners, and often they don't open up for advice or help. And I think that's just the industry we're in. So I think it's great because, as I say, that there's not much advice or help out there.
Yeah, no, I agree. I mean, there's some really good trainers out there, and there's not some good trainers out there, but that's the same in any industry. And you've got to find one whose values align with you. But the one thing I do know is I've been through every mistake everybody's ever been through, and then some. But it's not the mistakes that define you; it's how you come back from those mistakes. So we've had people steal from us. We've had been to court and been sued. We've had, tenants die in properties. We've had murders. It's quite topical now. The thing that's on the TV, there's something in the canoe, the man, the lion in the canoe. Yeah. We used to rent a house out to him when he came back from jail. So honestly, you couldn't make this up. It's like, so we've had, by the way, it's a disgraceful, because he's talking with a Geordie accent and he's from Hartlepool. It's crazy. So we've had everything and anything, and then in your wildest dreams that's gone wrong. But it is how you bounce back from it, and it's not your mistakes that define you. It's how you bounce back from that.
Yeah, no, I agree. And what about Property Mark? How's that going? What's happening there, and enjoying it?
Oh, love it. I mean, the easiest question is what's not happening there. It's a real hive of activity at the minute at Property Mark, and we've never been in such a good shape. We've got an amazing Property Mark board. So Property Mark board's like the strategy board. They run the business. Well, they advise the CEO and the operational team. So Nathan Emerson, who's coming as CEO, he's been a breath of fresh air. We've got Nikki, who's our chairman. She's brilliant. We've got a real good set of directors. We've just recruited 2 non-exec directors with really good, strong backgrounds. And then you've got the ALA, the letting side, and the NEA sales side advisory boards. There's just a lot of good stuff going along there. And I appreciate some people might have had bad experiences within the past, but it's certainly not the way it's run now. Is comparable with the way it's run in the back. But at the forefront of all lobbying, all government, they do so much. They're on TV. We get the end of the month sort of media report where it's been. I've never seen the business, the organisation be on so many media outlets. You're talking Sky, BBC, Daily Mail, Finance. You were talking the big papers and programmes Nathan and the guys are getting on to try and push Property Mark.
Because that was a big thing that was missing, wasn't it? I think previously.
They don't shout about it enough, even to this day. But we're doing a lot more social media. We're trialing a Facebook group, which I'm helping with Rachel Hartley, who's spearheading it, and Natalie Barton has just come along, who was worked in the industry, but now she's come along. She's really good. She's a big one on for TikTok and stuff like that. So we've been dragged into the modern world, let's put it that way.
in a good way.
In a good way.
A question based on this, and obviously also how you help agents, is if you could change one thing about the industry, what would that be? It's quite a big question, but is anything that stands out?
I think we need to be professionalized. So ROPA for me is a great thing when it comes in 2048 or whenever they keep knocking it back. But the sooner you can bring that in and professionalize the agency, and I know the good agents are saying, well, it's not us they need to legislate against and professionalize. but it never is. When you've got cowboys in an industry, it's never the good ones that need professionalizing or a license, and if you like, it's always the bad ones. But you can't get out the bad ones until you make it, you have to be accredited in some way, shape or form. There's never been an industry that I'm aware of that's got rid of the cowboys by doing anything but doing this. So although it's a bit expensive and it's a bit more tiresome and laborious, you get rid of the cowboys, the public perception will slowly turn around. You've got less people in the market. You've got better people in the market. You've got rid of the cowboys. Guess what? You can charge higher fees.
Yeah.
What happened in America? It's what happened in France and Germany. It's what happened in Australia about 11, 12 years ago, speaking to all these agents. As soon as you professionalize an industry, prices, and we can start getting paid higher commissions and, basically get paid for what the good guys are worth.
Yeah, no, I agree. It's something needs to change. So that's a good point. So coming from my angle, social media, can't obviously leave you without asking a few questions about social media. So how does social media look in your brands? What are you doing, and how important is it for you at the moment?
Massively important. Behind recommendations and previous customers, which you can't really do much about, social media, especially digital marketing, is our next biggest lead source.
Right.
It's huge. And Facebook is our biggest leads source, but in terms of converting it to listen sales and stuff, it's social, it's digital marketing as a whole. So without that, it's around about a third of all our business at the minute. A third.
Yeah.
So just think, if you're not doing it, how much more could you be doing?
Yeah, and it's funny you say. I was speaking to an agent earlier today, and they had a problem with their Facebook accounts, and it all shut down, and they just left it for sort of, I think it's about 3-4 months, and then it was literally, we got to sort it out. We thought it was doing something for us, but until that stopped, we just realised how much it was, because levels. And it's touch points, it's brand awareness, it's all those things that you can't normally measure, and that you probably hate that because knowing what your measurements and your data and anything you like, but half of it is that brand awareness and touch points, which you can never really measure. So it is huge. How do you how does it work in your different brands? How do you target or control what's being done on social media, or what they're actually doing in the business using it?
Yeah, so it's pretty much the same stuff that gets posted, just with the different brands. The only things that will be different will be the community or the individual posts, like the staff post. Excuse me. So we've got, we get our content from Jerry Lyons, who's absolutely brilliant. You do all our Facebook ads, which is brilliant. We've got Pete, who does the Google stuff for us. He's brilliant at it as well. But it's the content. So, well, what do we do? So we're very big on community. So all our branches, not just the brands, the branches are being given a budget, and they need to sponsor some sort of local sports team or sponsor somebody. Excellent. And they also need to support a charity. And the reason we do that is we know people love the community posts and buy from people. So for instance, Prudhoe under 11s football team. So technically we can have 2 posts a week on that, maybe 3, which is good luck to Prudhoe under 11s. This is on a Friday, who are playing tomorrow. On Monday, it's like, well done, Prudhoe, who won 3-2 against their arch rivals, and a little bit of a report and picture of the lads, or, any sort of charities that you're supporting. So some charities are really close to our staff's hearts. So you get them to buy in, so they're likely to post more. And that's on top of posting your properties for sale and your properties to let and stuff. And you've got to show the results as well. If you just show properties for sale, for sale, for sale, for sale, it's actually getting the point across that you're not selling houses. So you need to mix it up and say for sale, and then do a video. Bye guys, remember 22 of the Avenue? We sold it in 36 seconds at £1 million more than asking price. If you want to get the same result for you, give us a call on blah, blah, blah. So a social media strategy and having your message and just alternating it. It's not all about you. It's not all about them. It's a mixture of everything. And you do have to put, I know Mr. Watkin doesn't like pie charts. He says he does, but then he posts the opposite. You have to put pie charts in. You've got to show that you are number one and you are winning and stuff like that. Got to show that you're winning the trophies, because people want to be associated with success. If you've got somebody who just does community stuff, and you've got somebody else who does community stuff with number one on Rightmove, community stuff with number one on Rightmove, the number one on Rightmove is going to get the business a lot more than the one who doesn't tell them how good people they are.
Yeah, I think some good points. I love the fact you're doing the community stuff, because one of the questions agents always ask me is, you know, what posts we do that's going to get loads of exposure for free, which is very hard now on Facebook. And by doing the local community stuff, you're not just talking to that small audience of people thinking of buying or selling now. You're talking to the whole pond, aren't you? You know, everyone, because everyone's interested in their local community. So.
And tag the people in as well. So if you support a football team, and this is quite clever, this, if you've got a couple of branches, so we told our guys to one branch had to support a cricket team, had to, whether they liked it or not, and then you could choose a football or rugby. And the reason is you've got 365 content then. So if you just support football, you've got 4 or 5 months of the year. But if you've got cricket, then you can start. You've got the summer. So now we've got between 104 and 156 posts a year just on supporting the sporting team.
Clever. Yeah. And I think too many agents, they sponsor these clubs, they don't do anything on social media. So and that's a huge loss. It's just a massive loss.
And when you tag them in, Paul, like, you know, you get to their target audience as well, and I didn't know Castledine sponsor them or whoever. So yeah,
it's so clever. So on the question of Facebook ads and lead generation, obviously we help you guys with the lead generation side of Facebook. Do you think
helps you do it for us? You don't help us, mate. You do it. There's a big difference.
I like to make you sound good. Do you think this is something which, you know, you've made the decision obviously to let us do that for you? Is it something that you think agents should spend time doing, or do you think there's different scenarios? How do you think it sits in with agents?
If you want to run a business, you need to get the experts in. So if I don't want my team are letting agents or estate agents, they're not Facebook experts. And I think one of the biggest mistakes people make is, I'm going to save, I think you're really crazy value. Please don't put me prices up, but I really do. And so for you to do it for me, it's an absolute no-brainer. So, you know, you're at the cutting edge of everything that goes on in Facebook. You're doing it 24/7. You live and breathe it. It's what you do. If there's any changes in the algorithm, you pretty much, you're on top of it straight away. Now and it frees my time up, more importantly. Now let's look at if I did it myself. It'll take me 3 or 4 times as long to do it than you do.
We did try.
Yeah, we did in the beginning. It's a bit like Pete Butler and all the other guys. I got a guy to do my Instagram. I went down to London to do an Instagram course, and he was teaching us. And after about 2 hours, I went, dude, how much would you charge us just to do it for us? Because, you know, if it's a wrong way to think about it, saving a couple £100 doing it yourself, right? It's going to take us 3 or 4 times longer, me, to do it than you, Paul. I've then got to be absolutely on it and understand the algorithms and how Facebook works. That's not a thing. Yeah. And just imagine what I could be doing if I wasn't doing it. I could be coming up with like the perfect market appraisal process, or, you know, networking, or doing valuations. So it just beggars belief that the agents would want to bring it in house.
Yeah, no, that's really good advice, and great to hear your opinion on that. So finally, as we end here, so a couple of questions which I want to put to you. For people watching, what's one bit of advice perhaps you would recommend or give them for any agent that's looking to grow their property business, that you've perhaps taken that advice and used it yourself and thought it's definitely made an impact?
Yeah. So the first thing is make sure you got your house in order. So there's no point going out and getting 50 houses to rent or selling an extra 3 or 4 houses a month when you haven't got your own house in order. So make sure you can cope with the growth and the demand. And the second thing is have a proper strategy. So Facebook ads is a tactic. Google is a tactic. Picking up the phone and cold calling is a tactic. You need the strategy. Who are you going to try and attract? Why are you going to try and attract them? And then you can develop your tactics and have a nice blend of it. Some people are a long-term prospect. Some people you can pick up the phone and get them on tomorrow, and you want a mixture of it. So you don't just want, you know, right, I'm just going to be doing this, or I'm just going to be doing that. And they almost complement each other, because if I just picked up the phone and just started phoning, yes, I'll get some success. But imagine I'm using you, and there's, oh yeah, I've seen Castledine, I've seen James Wynn somewhere before, because you've been putting the adverts out there. They're more likely to come across. So I don't think people realize that a blend of tactics for social media, for marketing, really helps.
Yeah, And nowadays, as you know, touch points have gone through the roof. They reckon, I think it's 19 touch points now, something that used to be single digits. So all these things that you've mentioned, phone calls, social media, everything, it has such an impact overall now.
Well, Google, it's between 20 and 200.
Is it?
Yeah, and it depends on, the more expensive the product, the more touch points.
Yeah.
Which stands to reason. So if you're selling your house and it's 300, 400, 500 grand, you're going to be looking at, and a touch point is literally, I've seen a board, your car was pressed with a logo on, Facebook, Google. So it's not like, hello, Mr. Long, hello, Mr. Long, like effort touch points. No. It could be an email. So if you're sending out an email once a week over a year, that's 52. Great, that's brilliant. So you're a quarter of where you need to be. If the advert's going in front of them every 10 days or something, great, that's another couple. So before you know it, without even much effort, so long as you're doing it wisely and correctly, those touch points can get to 50, 60, 100, just like that.
Really, really, really quickly. So books, I know that anyone who knows you read a lot of books. Yeah. Let's tap into that. What's 3 of the best books that you recommend agents read?
Cool. So the first one, I just read it a couple of weeks ago, and that is Limitless by Jim Kwik. Kwik. So he is an Asian American chap, and he was in an accident when he was younger, and he was thought of as simple, retarded, slow, whatever you want to call it. He wasn't. He just had an injury, and he trained himself using neurology techniques to have one of the quickest and brightest minds to date. And he trained his brain. So there's no such thing as a bad memory or a poor memory. It's just an untrained memory. So he teaches you, and I've actually signed up for his 21-day course. That's how good it is. I also wanted to know how his email marketing was, which was pretty sick. He will teach you how to have a better memory, retain information, think quicker, think on your feet. He talks about brain foods, what you should be eating, getting into routine. So that's a really good book. There's one called Legacy, which is all about the All Blacks.
Yeah,
so that's how to create a really good culture and a really good team. And they talk about things, like sweeping the sheds, which means be humble. So nobody's too good to sweep the sheds. They've got a good one called Moana, which effectively means at the tip of the spear. So you've all got to have a clear vision, and everybody's like a spear going towards an end goal. So that's really good. And it's because the All Blacks are the most winningest team in team history. So I think you've got the American female soccer team, which have got like an 89-90% win rate over the last 10 years. But the All Blacks have got an 85% win rate over the last century.
Wow.
So you look at them and you say, right, well, how do you have completely different personnel? Like the great granddads of people were playing, right? But how can they all have that bond that over a century, nothing much has changed? So that's a really good book for team culture. So Limitless is like on you, self-development. Legacy is a lot to do with like your team culture and how to have a winning team and mindset. And then I'm going to have a shameless plug here, which is the Agency Roadmap by a young northern chap called John Paul.
Never heard it.
Never heard of it. Rubbish. Props on my coffee table. So yeah, I'm quite proud of that book. So that is like literally just breaking down the 9 modules. How to build up a really good business, not necessarily an estate agent, just a business. And yeah, so that's those are my 3 books I would recommend.
Brilliant. So finally, where can people get in touch with you, or if they want to get more help, or what are you doing at the moment which agents can benefit from?
Cool. So we're doing masterminds, doing one-on-one coaching. So if you want to get in touch with me, just John Paul on Facebook, John Paul Mentor on Instagram. I've got a really good Facebook group called Agency Growth Strategies. And it's, some groups are all about like, what's the difference between a Section 21 and a Section 8, and what's the best prop tech, and who does the best takeaways on a Friday night. That's not my bag. This agency is all about how to grow your business. And it's a very good active one, as is yours. It's all about, you're specialized in Facebook. We specialize in growing your estate agent. So there's lots of ways people get in touch with me if they want.
That's brilliant. Thank you, John. Really appreciate your time. I know you're a busy man and you protect your time. So appreciate giving us a few minutes today. Thank you very much for that.
Cheers, mate. Thanks for having me.